Hello everyone and welcome to our session on cloud accounting software. My name is Elnice Goosen. I'm the main brain of DGE Chartered Accountants and Registered Auditors. In this session I would like to specifically focus on Sage, and I'm taking you through the basics, setting up your accounting package from scratch. So let's jump to any browser of your choice, internet browser. I'm using Chrome. Google Sage Cloud Accounting or Sage Online Accounting, something in that line. Do not vaguely Google Sage. They have a lot of products and you will confuse yourself. So look for something like Sage Cloud Accounting. We'll jump to Sage website. And this is what you'll get. Let's start with our free trial. At the end of the trial, they will prompt you to convert to a paid product, but you might just want to have a look at the product first and get a feel, or simply get a free month. Why wouldn't you? Then you complete their little form with all your juicy details and you say, yes please, I want my free trial. You will then receive an email with a link that you can click on and say, confirm my account please. You will be redirected to this login page where you will put in your email address and you will be asked to create a password. Now at this point I do suggest that you add it to your bookmarks bar, this web page. So you will click on this little star at the top or whatever function in the browser that you are using, whatever function you have there that allows you to add it to your bookmarks bar. You will name it whatever you want and you will add it to your bookmarks bar, and then it will appear at the top here so that every time that you open your browser you will be able to click there instead of Googling Sage all over again. Now if you forget to do this, or if you prefer not to, then you simply open your browser like normal, you type in Google again, in Sage again, and you will look for this Sage accounting login. Okay, so let's then type in our username and you will create your password, login, and you will be taken to this page. Company settings, take a few minutes to make sure that everything is set up. So firstly you'll go to your company details. You will fill in your company name, your postal address, physical address and banking details if you would like to do so right now. There is an opportunity to do this later as well. So firstly they will just need your company name. You will need a company name. Now the lovely thing about Sage is that it is completely changeable. You will, even if you make a mistake at any point, you can always go back and change anything. That's why I really like Sage specifically. It's very user friendly. It will ask you what client type you are. This is different levels of performance and processing. So if you only want to do task management, no actual processing, you can use Sage for that. Or if you only want to use it for banking and bringing in a few journals, otherwise just doing your customer and supplier journals as well, everything plus the customer and supplier journals, but then also the full option of having all your accounting features. So that's the one normally we use, and that's the one we use for our clients as well. Then you can brand everything. You can choose your branding, your logo, and position it wherever you want. This will give you an image of where exactly it is positioned, and they give you a default layout of how your statements will look, how your documents in general will look, your quotes, your invoices, your statements. So it's defaulted to modern. I like the modern way. We'll stick with that one. This will take you to your customer zone. Now the customer zone is where your customers will be able, when you send for instance a quote or an invoice, they get an email with the PDF version of it, but they also have a link in that email where the client can go online and see their documents online on this platform as well. They won't have access to your personal files. It will only be view. It's a view only for their account specifically. So you can say only the invoices or quotes, or you can have the full account history. They can go back and see whichever invoices they had before, or their statement balance at the current period, or anything that they would like to see online as well. Okay, are you registered for VAT? If yes, you put in your VAT number. This is your invoice settings. When you add a quantity to your items, would you like decimal values to be displayed? When's your financial year end? The next one normally in South Africa would be February next year. And then you would say this is just legal issues, to say that this is the new POPI Act. You might have heard of it, protection of personal information. You would like to retain this, let's say the maximum period for legal reasons. Okay, and you will click on finish, which takes you to your workspace. This is a little dashboard with quick links to wherever you need to go, and it's all also on the top in the bar, so you can choose whichever way suits you best. Like I said, Sage is very user friendly, so you have many different ways of reaching the same thing. You just pick the one that works best for you. You will see there's customers, suppliers, items, banking, account, accountants area, reports, company administration. So let's go to company first, because we have to set up our company settings. Okay, so they ask for your basic information: your company name, your telephone number, your contact, postal address, physical address. Now you remember in the beginning I said you don't have to fill in that already. There will be another chance to do so. This is another chance to do so. Otherwise, if you did populate that in the beginning, it will automatically be populated here based on that information that you've already entered. Sage will send emails to your customers via the system. By default, they have their address as the email address that it will come from, but I like to use my personal email address to say this email communication comes from me, although it goes through the Sage email address. Additional company information: you can bulk it up a little bit with your company tax number. In South Africa, that's the one that starts with 9, your 10-digit number starting with 9, your registered name, registration number, entity type. You can fill in different details here. If you do make use of a tax practitioner, you can put in the tax practitioner details here, or your SaaS company contact information over here. This is because Sage has a feature linking directly to SaaS, so you can complete this information and then it will link to the SaaS profile. But if you use your accountant, this will be populated already, or you can ask your accountant to populate it for you. Again, if you are a DGE client, don't worry about any of this. This will already have been set up for you. Customer zone. If you enable your customer zone, it's the same as that first feature where they asked you, do you want to have your clients see their invoices and quotes only, or have the entire account history? You have payment gateways that you can link to here as well as net cash that links in very well with Sage. So you can set up your payment gateways or your net cash account here as well. Under general settings, we have our financial years. It's already defaulted to the one that was defaulted when we started the whole process. You can also set a lockdown date if you want, so that nothing further can be processed after a specific period. If this is not locked, everything is still open and anyone can still go and change anything with regards to your accounting information. So I do suggest setting a lockdown date after you are sure that your financial period has been completed, or your accountant gives the go ahead. You can say whether or not you want rounding. Your regional settings, we're in South Africa, so this will be rand. I like the year, first, month, date format. Under customer and supplier settings, this will just tell you whether or not you've duplicated a customer, or do you want inactive customers or suppliers being displayed. You can read through this and decide which features you prefer. Item settings similar. This will be your services or your products. It will warn you when it falls below 0. You can again read through this and decide whether or not which ones you prefer. Outstanding balances. This is defaulted to say that we want your agent to work monthly and that it is to be run based on invoice date and not on due date. Personal information is again that POPI information that we populated at the start. VAT settings. If you are registered for VAT, please enter your VAT number here, starting with 4 in South Africa, and you can also populate this so long, but I'll show you another way to do this as well, to say when was your last period end date and when was your last submission date and your payment frequency. It's defaulted to standard rate. You can select whatever rate is applicable to you. Let's move on to our documents and statements. This is the messages that will appear on your documents, so specifically statements. The details that are in these blocks you might have populated at the start where it asks for your banking details, but you can change it here as well to include a welcome message or payment terms, whatever you would like. If you have a deposit that you prefer to have beforehand, then you put in these details. So I've put in for current and for 30 days, thank you, normal message. Once you reach 60 days or 90 days, please settle your account urgently, and after 120 days it's urgent that you settle this. You can put whatever message you would prefer to have here. Under document numbers, you will see that they default to the system accounts. However, if you already have an accounting system going and you've already issued a few invoices, or you have a preferred way of having your invoice numbers or your credit notes, the way you prefer to have your document numbers, you can simply click on it and change it to the current number invoiced, for instance, or to change this entirely the way you prefer your invoicing to be done. Document descriptions is simply the way that it is named under the system. I don't think you will change it, but you are welcome to go and change it as well. If you prefer to have the whole word out as quotation, for instance, you can change it under document descriptions. Your customer document messages, this was the statement messages, so we are under the customer documents. This will be your quote, your invoice, your credit note, and I've simply added a thank you message, your payment terms, and saying that your invoice will be issued when you've accepted your quote. And then for your customer invoice, I've added the bank details and said please note that the invoices are due within 7 days, for instance. And you can say, for instance, please use your company name as a reference, whatever your preferences are. I don't have anything under supplier document messages because normally you have a space there to complete the messages if you want. If you have specific messages that you would like to also include on your supplier documents, you're welcome to complete them here. Again, the layout is modern. You can select whichever. You can also have a look at how the different layouts will look by just previewing them first. Here's your branding. That was also at the beginning of the setup where you chose your logo and you've inserted them, and we can have a preview to see this is our invoice number and references and things will be there. Your logo will be on the side if you prefer. You can change the side once you want it on, and it will be from your company to your client, and it will have all this information populated. User defined fields, this is advanced stuff, don't worry about that for now. This is if you have specific extra fields that you would like to have on your documents. Email signatures, they have default email signatures, but I do prefer managing your own settings. So whenever you go into something, they will ask you to save first. So let's just make sure that everything is saved. So I've added a few signatures here. You can add your own types of signatures. As I mentioned, these email signatures are because you send your invoices and your statements and your quotes directly off the system. You won't download it and send it via an email that you normally would. It will go off the system immediately, so you would like to put in an email signature as well. So if we have a look, for instance, let's go to an invoice. This is my default document. Custom invoice, you can name it whatever you want. And I've put in a normal layout. You can copy this layout if you want, or you can put your own. They have placeholders so that whenever something is in bracket, it was a placeholder. You have different options over here. So it will say, "Good day, Sarah. Hope you're doing well. Please find attached invoice number this for invoice total that." So this will pull through the information of that specific document. And for instance, it needs to be settled before that date, and let me know if you have any queries. Similarly, I've put in the subject line. So this will say, "My amazing company to Sarah, invoice number for due date tomorrow." This information will pull through, and you can add your placeholders where relevant. If you run a multi-currency business, you can add that here, but you'll have to upgrade to another package probably to just allow for that, but it won't be a lot of extra cost. Client type, this is exactly the same as previously, where you selected what client type you want, and obviously Sage prices differently based on how much functionality you require. Right, we'll save and close. Okay, now that we've done our company settings, we need to set up a bank account. Under banking, we will add a bank or credit card, or you can see your list of bank and credit cards over here. I've already set up an account, but you can click on this button and you can change the details here, or you can add a new account over there. So you'll need your bank account name, default payment method, you can select whatever is applicable, bank name, obviously this is a fictitious demo company, account number, other details that you want to put in. You can select this one as your default account, and if you have an opening balance, you can put it in here and make sure that it's the right date, but I will also show you where you can put in your opening balances as well. So this is our bank account. You've set up your banking details. Under accounts, you will have, if we go to the list of accounts, this is default. The main account Sage decides to populate. You might have specific accounts that you can add to this list if you don't already have one here. You will see something like sales and purchases. They're grayed out and they are default accounts, system accounts. That's because when you do your customers or your suppliers, they will go to these accounts and you don't have to create separate accounts for them. If you want to add a new account, just click on it, add your name, you can categorize it, you can say exactly what your VAT type is, and you're ready to go. So let's go and add our opening balances. Okay, so company, right at the bottom, opening balances. If you have a startup company, this won't be necessary, of course. You won't have any opening balances. This will only be if you are migrating from another system, or if you previously had a manual system going. You will need to bring in your opening balances. Say for instance, you already had financial statements prepared for the prior year. You can use that set of financial statements or your trial balance, or you can just have a look on your previous system and bring in the account opening balances. You will see that it defaults to today, and you have to just make sure that you change this date to, say for instance, the last day of the previous financial year. In South Africa, it would be 28 February. Make sure you change your date so that it's either at the beginning of your new financial year or simply the closing balances of the previous year. Then you will see they group the accounts under the financial categories, and you simply enter your debits or your credits as you go along. And if you don't see your account listed here, then it's because it wasn't in the default Sage list. You can either add your account directly from here, or you can go back to accounts, list of accounts. So you will enter all your opening balances, and you will see right at the bottom it will say yay or nay, it balances or it doesn't. Normally I will fill in everything, and your balancing figure will be your opening balance of your retained income. Just make sure every balance is correct and that this is zeroed out, and you have a green thumbs up before you update and continue. Okay, so that is it for the basics. In the next video, I will take you through the setting up the trading aspects of your company, namely your products and services, and setting up your customer list and your supplier list, and how to deal with issuing quotes or invoices or statements, and capturing your supplier invoices as well. Thank you very much for watching. We love paying it forward by sharing finance and business tips and insights. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with notifications on, and follow us on social media by clicking on the links below.